You can if you want to. Do not feel like you have to. That is not, I am not. Like very specifically. I make it killer videos. I will say that, but I can't if they're on.
Thank you for coming.
Alrighty, everyone, we're gonna get started. Welcome to the penultimate Senate of the semester. We're gonna start with prayer. Jeff will be leading that.
In the name of the Father, and the Son. God, help us today to respond effectively and empathetically to the needs of our fellow students in outreach as well as upkeep. Help us live out the mission and memory of Pope Francis by selflessly serving the wider community in South Bend and the nation this meeting throughout our term. Amen.
Awesome, now roll call. Okay, guys, after gorging on candy all weekend, my question of the day is what is everyone's favorite salad dressing? Salad dressing.
I've been really into the country French recently. Put a little ranch on there,
Yeah.
and you put the country French on top of it.
Oh my God, that's the move. That's the move. That combo. Oh.
Madison Frenchfield,
I'm afraid I have a preference.
Matthew Dunn,
I think salad
okay. Destiny Harris, the avocado ranch. Carly Bacon.
I'm proxying for Charlie Bacon today. His name's Max. I'm no fan of salad dressing, and frankly, I agree with Matthew. The salad's just a bunch of leaves. Just a bunch of leaves.
Richard Camus,
Ranch.
Pat Thiessen,
Italian.
Kyle Lochner.
First have to eat salad to know my favorite stuff.
Okay, then Kyle. Amy Tomko. Luke Williams.
Like sesame.
Josephine Oil. Okay. Josephine. Oh. Karen Wilson. Michelle Savarino. Edward Curry.
Ranch.
Jack Rankin.
Caesar.
John Gibbons.
Ranch.
Adeline Clemmer. Adeline. Anna K. Carlisle.
Ranch.
Joey McClellan.
Not very rat.
Connor Klimek.
Caesar.
Nathan Ward.
Raspberry vinaigrette.
Angelica Serna.
I think it's called Italian.
Riley Evers.
I'm not a salad.
Okay. Elena Rossi.
Caesar.
Ben Solom.
Caesar.
James Colley. James. Michael Heffernan. Kyle Sosaleski. Teo Awi.
And it's Adela.
Laurel Hamilton. Jessica Perez. Jessica. Okay. Gabriel Polanecki.
Caesar.
Patrick Mulligan.
You got what?
Okay. Walker Bagley.
Holy Ranch.
Micaiah Copley. Emma Herring.
She's also on her way.
Okay. Eamon Tracy.
Professor.
Benton Fisher.
Caesar.
Aaliyah Applin.
Caesar.
Diego Gonzalez.
Nothing.
Okay. Rose Wynn.
Caesar.
Kelsey Casella. Danny Ward.
Italian.
Elijah Jones.
Caesar.
Sam Robinson.
Balsamic vinaigrette.
Me, Catherine Morrissey, blue cheese. Okay. Joseph Tierney. Joseph. Megan Klein. Megan. Jerry Bielhauer.
Green goddess.
Sonia Lumley. Italian. And Mom.
very specifically Hidden Valley Ranch.
Thank you. And then I have one request again today, guys, before you speak, if you could just say your name before you kind of make your point, at least like the first 1 or 2 times, just while we're all still learning each other's names. It helps a lot. It helps with the minutes quite a bit. Thank you. Awesome. Need a motion to approve minutes?
Michael Camilleri, motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We'll now vote on the motion to approve the minutes. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? Okay, awesome. They're approved. And now we're gonna go to executive announcements. As you can see, item A, so you guys will all get your assignments April 25th for the departments. I'm waiting on 2 people to fill out the form, and then that's it. So that should be really fun and awesome, and hand it off to Sam.
We also have an interest form for the Campus Life Council. So that is a body on campus that consists of people from the faculty senate, student government, other student organizations, as well as administration. And the goal of the Campus Life Council is to make policy recommendations concerning student affairs to the Board of Trustees and stuff like that. It meets on a bi-weekly basis, so they'll start meeting next fall, most likely. And yeah, we need 1 men's hall senator and 1 women's hall senator to serve on the committee itself, or on the council. So if you guys wouldn't mind taking the time to fill out the form, the interest form, if you are interested. And then next Senate will probably have a ballot of some sorts, which would be along the lines of the Google form, and time to kind of hold like an election in like concerning people on the committee.
Something really cool about this ELC as well is any resolutions go straight to Father Jerry's desk, and he has to sign either like say yes or no or sign it, or has some kind of response. I think it's within 2 weeks. So
Awesome. Then now go to the. Awesome. So we're gonna do the State of the Union, and Jerry will present that.
all right. My first State of the Union, here we go. So, the undergraduate student senate of Notre Dame, I stand before you now to give my first State of the Union address. After our election, Sonia and I have selected the best chief of staff around, Ethan Jung. Then, 3 of us selected and nominated directors for our 19 departments, along with the executive controller and student union secretary. We are beyond excited about what every one of our directors is going to accomplish this year with their departments, each of which will be fully formed and finalized by the last day of classes. So, bear with me now, as I will go through our executive cabinet and a major initiative each of them is working on, starting now and going to next year. Executive Controller Kevin White, who is putting together department budgets and keeping us on track financially. Student Union Secretary Catherine Morrissey, who is putting together who is keeping things organized to make sure that Exec Cab is running properly. Director of Academic Affairs Charles Sander, who is implementing programming to help students discern the academic path that is right for them. Director of Campus Nutrition Juliana Marchese, who is working on adding grab-and-goes in both Duncan and LaFun. Director of Campus Technology and Innovation, Connor Resner, who is working on finalizing the first edition of NDAI for student use. Director of Communications, Andrew Ryan, who is ensuring transparent communication with the student body through the ND-StuGov Instagram. Director of Community Service, Owen McDonald, who is adding an additional service initiative tying in faith on top of existing events like Back the Bend. Director of Diversity and Inclusion, Disability Advocacy, Benjamin Galle, who is working on getting American Sign Language recognized as an official foreign language by the university. Director of Diversity and Inclusion, First Generation Low Income, Ella Bustle, who is working on expanding how Notre Dame defines first generation to be more inclusive, similar to many peer institutions. Director of Diversity and Inclusion, Race, Ethnicity, and International Engagement, Andreas Hernandez-Steep, who is working on empowering all races, ethnicities, and cultures across campus, and is planning the Hallmark Black Excellence Dinner. Co-directors of Faith, Jack Keller and Matthew Morosola, who are planning to bring inspiring and impactful Catholic speakers to campus, while also facilitating intersectional faith dialogues. Co-directors of First Undergraduate Experience in Leadership Fuel, Clayton Chauncey and Dorian Kochium, who are going to mentor and empower the next wave of StuGov leaders from the class of 2029. Still getting some of the last names down. Director of Gender Relations, LGBTQ+ Advocacy, Vinny Badali, who is working to help LGBTQ students find strength in both their identity and their faith. Director of Gender Relations, Title IX and Women's Initiatives, Gianna Spitalski, who is working to raise awareness about and helping to prevent sexual violence. Co-Director of Health and Wellness, we got Manny Uzubife and Justice Walker, who are working on improving the University Council Center and overall student wellness. Director of National Affairs and Political Engagement, Kaylee Pico, who is fostering civil political discourse and working to unite campus in an increasingly polarized political landscape. Director of South Bend Engagement, Jacob Arlandu, who is working on growing our relationship with the South Bend community and finding ways that we can be a force for good for those around us. Co-directors of Student Life, Ella Brown and Paul Stevenson, who are expanding Forum Day to new heights, as well as large-scale events elsewhere. Director of Student Athlete Relations, Robbie Wolin, who is helping to bring together student athletes and the campus as a whole, while helping those who will be affected by roster cuts caused by new NIL legislation. Director of Sustainability, Michael Parent, who is expanding green move-in and green move-out practices while helping to reduce campus waste. And finally, co-directors of University Policy, Mason McCart and Conrad Sisweski, who are working to fix our water troubles, both with walkway drainage and with drinking quality. So yeah, that was all of them. And we are very excited that that is far from an exhaustive list. So please check out the progress tracker and look at all the things that we hope to implement and to accomplish next year. And kind of a note to remember here is that Street Fair late night hours on Fridays and Saturdays does still go till midnight for the rest of this year. So please, if you haven't yet, go check that out. They have $5 menus with street burgers and street dogs, which if we have continued success with that will help us to implement increased late night policies with dining, such as the dining halls themselves or other options. And while our directors have gotten to jump on these initiatives, I, along with Sonia and Ethan, have been meeting with numerous administrators, including Father Pete on Monday, who obviously is so great. And we've been receiving very promising feedback regarding a number of our highest priorities. So we're really excited for the possibility that a lot of our initiatives can come true in this next coming year. We're thrilled to serve the student body over the coming year. So please continue to share your comments and concerns with us as we work together to make every student's experience here at Notre Dame the best they can be. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry. Okay. Now we're in general orders. There's nothing in general orders, but we do have quite a lot of things in new business. Yeah.
I would request that maybe a senator were to move items C and D from new business to general orders, just because they are pressing, and we do have the current student business manager of Irish Gardens here, just to add some context to the legislation.
Motion to move items C, D.
Items what?
Kyle Lochner, Don Walsh mentioned. Motions to move items C through D in new business to general orders.
Is there any objections to the unanimous consent to move items C and D to general orders?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we move A through D?
Are there any objections to the unanimous consent to move items A through D to general orders? No objections, we'll move A through D. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, item A of SO 25-2605. Okay.
Nathan Ward, Graham Hall, motion to dispense with the reading. Second.
We'll now vote on the motion to dispense with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? The reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning, and the authors are here.
Questioning and debate.
We'll now vote on the motion to move out of questioning and into debate. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? Awesome. We're in debate.
Move from debate and into a vote. Second.
We'll now vote on the motion to move out of debate and into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? We will now vote on order SO 25-2605 in order to update and approve the bylaws of the Student Senate. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? Awesome. It's approved. Okay, look, this is huge. These are our bylaws. Okay, item B. Take a look at it.
Motion to dispense with the readings. Second.
We'll now vote on the motion to dispense with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? The reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning. The authors are here.
How is this being modern, or sorry?
Yeah.
How is this being modernized? What changes are being made?
Yeah, so essentially, it's just called modernized because this rule, originally came to be, I think, like 10, 20 years ago. And so it's more just to update it for modern practice. Essentially what happened is that the original rule says that like listservs, cannot be used for campaigning, and it gets really confusing during the election cycle because people don't really use listservs as much anymore, and they have like functionally the same purpose. So yeah, there are just a lot of questions year to year from, is it okay to use a Google group? Is it okay to use a dorm group chat? So this is just to clarify that.
I have a question, Pat, he's on. And
I'm sorry, I called on him first and then you.
I'll just go.
Okay,
Can I go?
Yeah,
I have a question, Pat Tucson. This was a little bit unclear to me, but I read through the thing and it all like mostly makes sense. But is the, what's the word when you send an email to your whole dorm, like the dorm? What's the word?
automated.
Yeah, is that
Automated?
allowed to be used? Can you use that?
Well, with the existing legislation, it's very unclear. Sorry, with the existing constitutional section, it's very unclear. But with this amendment, that would be allowed with the permission of the rector and the I don't know, people in charge of that. Elijah might have more clarification on that than I do.
Any more
Does it say anywhere on here about the permission from your rector?
It did originally. Elijah was the one who wrote the amendment part.
Yeah, okay, so I'll explain. So I met with my advisor, and so his advice was to say that everything operated by any student union organization officially is not allowed, but if you want to go and email your entire dorm and you have permission to do so, you can do that. Just, you can't use the official list. But there's a workaround where you copy all the emails and do that, so. Does that clarify what you're?
I'm puzzled as to why if we're modernizing the election rules, I recall there's something under the Constitution that says something about how you can't campaign within a certain distance of the polling. I'm puzzled as to why that's not modernizing this as well. I feel that there's plenty under the election stuff that could be clarified with just this one particular section.
We could definitely explore that in the future, but I'm just trying to fix this one rule. I mean, if you want to fix that, I'm all on board, but this is just for this.
And I would say that this is a rule that constantly comes before the election council every year, and it gets a different interpretation every year, so we just want to standardize it.
I have a question for Elijah. Can you add a space between 23 and April? For some reason, it's not working on my device.
In the back? Sorry, your name again?
Oh, I was curious what the difference is. Oh, I'm just curious what the difference is between official mailing list and the copy case.
Yeah, there isn't really much of a difference. It's kind of just a matter of like what comes before the election council. As it stands, with like listservs, if you use an official listserv, then that's like technically a violation of the rule, but it's unclear if it's a violation of whether or not you can like copy and paste the exact same names and put them on an email list. It's something that like gets brought to the election council every single year, and they always like give a response.
So what you're saying is that the copy and pasting of an official email is allowed.
As it stands, it's some years it's allowed and some years it's not.
But I'm saying like with this.
With this, I don't think it.
They can be used.
Yeah, so the copying and pasting would be.
Awesome. There's gonna be a point of clarification from Will.
I just want to offer a point on the university listservs, right? There are listservs that are owned and operated by the university, like Google Groups that IT stands up, right? Versus things that you guys just kind of build on your own. But my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, authors, that the university listservs are the ones that like OIT owns and operates on behalf of student groups and university entities.
Yeah, like with some positions, you get access to like a very long list of all the people in your class or like in your department. And essentially this just prevents like being able to take advantage of a position to like, copy and paste those names. I mean, you can't really do that most of the time, but it just prevents using like in an official listserv that you get through the position that you currently hold and using that for campaigning.
Motion to move out of questioning and into debate.
We'll now vote on the motion to move out of questioning and into debate. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? We're now in debate. We now vote on the motion to move out of debate into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? So we will now vote on Order SO 252606 in order to modernize our election rules. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? Okay, it passes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Item C.
Second.
We now vote on the motion to dispense with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? All abstain? The reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning, and the authors are here.
Hello, Hamilton. I have a question. Like, I just can't exactly tell like what Irish Gardens is like not in compliance with. Like,
Yeah.
can I just have some details about like what is
Yeah,
the
I can-
problem here?
I can offer some clarification to that, and then I'll also, Corinne's our student business manager, I can also yield time to her to discuss it as well. So, as one does, I was reading the Constitution, and, I noticed that, there were a couple of regulations within the Constitution that Irish Gardens is not adhering to. So first, when it comes to the nomination of a new student business manager for Irish Gardens, it has to be approved by both the Senate and the Financial Management Board, which hasn't been done for, I think, at least 5 years or so. And so that's one thing that needs to be addressed. So the deadline for that has already passed. And normally that nomination would be put forward by the current student business manager and one of the assistant treasurers, so assistant student union treasurers, which didn't happen. And so there's a constitutional issue there. And then the other thing that Irish Gardens is supposed to do per the Constitution is at the end of the fiscal year, their net profits are supposed to be transferred into the student union carry forward account, which has not been the practice for, I believe, at least 7 years or so, even though that's what's outlined in the Constitution. And so I met with Corinne and Kelsey, our student union treasurer, as well as the advisor of Irish Gardens and the advisor of Judicial Council, to talk talk about a path forward in terms of kind of reintegrating them into student union operations, i.e. about pursuing a nomination for the next student business manager, and then also opening a conversational dialogue surrounding their financial obligations to the student union that we'll pursue more in the fall. And so this order itself is just meant to kind of put those violations or issues with compliance on hold until the next student business manager is confirmed. So it allows us to do that by suspending the deadline and the requirements as to who must nominate that person. And then it also suspends the financial obligations of Irish Gardens to transfer their net profits to the student union carry forward account. So we can have a conversation and a dialogue in the fall about potential changes to that practice, just for the sake of their own operations. And then I can yield time to Corinne to add anything more if I missed anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to provide a broader context if you guys want more information in terms of why this hasn't necessarily been happening.
I'm interested.
Okay, yeah. So I think the way Sam said it, obviously he's very, he knows exactly what's going on, but I think in terms of just giving a little bit more context in the shop, I've been the student business manager the entire year, and I was never once aware of any sort of obligation that we had to the Senate or anything like that. Irish Gardens is a very independent entity on campus. We're a completely student-run business, and we have been since 1982. And we're unique in that, and because of that, how the university and the business work together is a little bit complex, which is obviously why we're here to update it. But Generally, most of the, at least in terms of the student business manager nominations, that's been done internally. And the main reason for that is because you're being hired for an employee position just as much as you would be at any other company. So before I was nominated as manager, I worked as an employee at Irish Gardens for 2 years. The management team saw me, they saw the work that I did, and they said, yes, I think she's going to be a good fit to lead this business. And so I became the next manager. Now, the fact that that had to go through the Senate, I wasn't even aware of, because I understand like the administrative, need for it and stuff, but at the time I just, I don't think many people were even aware of it happening, and that could be due to some fault on Irish Gardens' part, it's also fault on the Senate's part.
All around.
And then in terms of the revenue from Irish Gardens rolling over into the carry forward account, I think when that rule was drawn up, if I'm saying this correctly, jump in if you need to. Essentially, Irish Gardens had a little bit of a management issue, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe five or 6 years ago. And we definitely went into a bit of a deficit in terms of our revenue, and so we were in the red on that. So I think that's when the Senate and Irish Gardens came together, and they're like, how can we put something together so that this doesn't happen again, right? So your funds are thrown away and negative business practices or whatever. And so I think that's when that rule was implemented, and so the Irish Gardens would have a little bit of backup, and then we'd also have a little bit of more oversight on how our funds are being used. But since we've been incredibly out of the red. We've been doing really, really well as a business. So I think now we're at a point where we want to look forward to seeing a little bit more of an updated way of the way the university and Irish Gardens can work together, so that we still are able to take our profits and reinvest them into the business, pay for our wages, pay for our inventory and stuff like that, but still also be able to provide some of the money to that fund, and then also have a little bit of insurance on the back end. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions?
Thanks, Marvin. Proxying for Charlie Bacon. Could one of you just briefly explain to me what it is that Irish Gardens actually does? I've actively not heard of the business.
Yeah, I probably should have started with that. I forget that it's so funny the amount of people I talk to, they're like, oh, what's Irish Gardens? But Irish Gardens is a florist. So we're in the basement of the fund. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Taco Bell, but we're right by the Taco Bell. And we have just a little shop down there. You operate only on the Notre Dame campus and St. Mary's campuses, so we don't deliver anywhere off campus, but like this weekend we're doing an event for the sustainability event, and we're making centerpieces for them. Valentine's Day is the craziest day of the year. We get like over 500 orders. We're buying $10,000 worth of flowers, so we're there. A lot of people just don't know about it, but we've been a big part of like the tradition of the campus.
Just curious, what was the practice before Irish Gardens were going to the red? Like, what is the carry forward account? Like, what exactly is it?
Yeah, so before, I'm not entirely sure actually what the practice was before Irish Gardens necessarily was in the red, but the carry forward account is a specific account outlined in the Constitution, in which you have money from like the student activity fee and other sources of revenue that go into, and then that money kind of feeds into the student union endowment. Which from there we get funding for allocations and stuff like that. Please, if I'm wrong, jump in and correct me. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I know. It's like I totally misspoke probably.
No, it's fine. The carry forward account is the university account that all the student activity fees get paid into, the revenue from the shirt sales get paid into, everything that funds that gets allocated out to fund the student union goes in there. And then what is remaining at the end of the year goes back up to feed the student union endowment, which pays out for future allocations. So the carry forward is basically sort of a holding account for activities fees and the student union endowment is the way to think about that. As far as what was happening before, my understanding actually is that Irish Gardens had that in the Constitution well before you guys ended up in the red a number of years ago. There used to be multiple student businesses on campus that existed under the umbrella of the student union. There was an AdWorks marketing company, there was a printing business, and they all kind of went away because the need for them no longer existed. And so this is the one pulled out that people just sort of forget exists within the Constitution. But the like funding in and out of the carry forward account has been there for longer than like prior to when they were in a deficit a few years ago.
Also, the carry forward account like has a limit of like three, like it really is like a holding account. I think that's important to know. Like every year we get like almost 300,000, and then like the access of that goes into the endowment. So it really is just kind of a formality, like holding account. So I know that it can sound like but yeah.
Point of inquiry, Michael Camilleri, are we getting $200,000? Right, how much money would this be for? Did you say you guys make $300,000?
No, so,
Yeah.
no, so the holding account, so the carry, yeah, really quick, so the carry forward account, has a $300,000 maximum on it. And so that's just like the most that like the account itself can hold, not including student activity fees, is my understanding. And so that's not, we're not getting money from, with this legislation, we're not taking money from Irish Gardens or anything like that.
Look, Irish Gardens, if you could turn over like a $300,000 profit, that would be clutch.
That'd be great.
I don't think it'll be in my lifetime. I don't know if this is a point of inquiry or a question, but like what does it take for a student business to like need to be overseen by Senate? Like, is there like a certain amount they have to make? And also, like, what's an example besides Irish Gardens?
Yeah, so right now there are no other student businesses established by the student union. So Irish Gardens is specifically outlined in the Constitution. So in Article 10, Section 5 of the Constitution, there's a provision in which I believe it's the Senate and the Financial Management Board can create student businesses if they want to. They can go that route of creating a student business. And so Irish Gardens is mentioned specifically in the Constitution, and then it is also classified as a student business. And there are certain requirements that go along with that, which are found in Article 10, Section 5 of the Constitution and Article 16, Section 7 regarding its financial practices. So they just have requirements.
Okay, so like we had the set requirements and just Irish Gardens was basically the only people it applies to and they just were following it.
Basically, yeah, so there was a set of requirements that only, yeah. No, so no one, it's been, no, yeah, so there are these set requirements that have existed for a very long time that at least, that has not been followed for at least 7 years, that has just been an oversight on everyone's part, that just needs to realign practice with rules. A temporary suspension of the rules would allow us to kind of pursue a nomination and then also allow us to potentially update some of the more outdated practices in coordination with Irish Gardens, which is operating pretty independently.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I get it now.
Does the student government fund, Irish Gardens? Do we get?
Yeah, so we do not currently. They are not eligible for allocations per the Constitution. So we could not give them money if we wanted to. However, per the Constitution in Article 16, Section 7, it does talk about the fact that if Irish Gardens were to run a deficit, then the student union would step in and kind of fix the deficit, if that makes sense, kind of pay for that. So if they were to go into massive debt, then the student union would be responsible for that. Obviously, that hasn't been an issue for an extended period of time with Irish Gardens, and we give them no money. So in a regular year, if they turn a dollar profit even, we are not able to, the student union is not constitutionally able to fund them or allocate them anything.
So if they start going in the red.
You didn't raise your hand. She had her hand raised. I'm sorry.
So if Irish Garden starts going in the red, do we have to bail them out practically, or is that not how we're?
So if they were to go in the red, then constitutionally, we would have to pursue that avenue. Obviously that hasn't been done, and Corinne could probably speak to more or less that could ever be an issue in the immediate future, but I don't see an issue with that by chance, but that is the current wording of the Constitution, you're right.
Okay. Did this happen 6 or 7 years ago? What's that bailout look like?
No, so I just meant that the practice hasn't been followed for about 7 years. The rules, so I'll just clarify. So the rules themselves have been in existence for longer than 7 years, and they haven't been followed for at least 7 years, to my understanding. But about 6-7 years ago or so, Irish Gardens was running in a deficit, and people were still unaware of the rules surrounding Irish Garden within the Constitution. So there was no action in which the student union took on that debt or on that deficit and kind of made them whole.
On that note, I just want to clarify, Irish Gardens pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and got back into the degree without any help from the students.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a question I can ask, but what kind of like competition boards are you looking for? Do you mean looking for? Like you want numbers? I think currently we have about $18,000 in our bank account. Now that is, a lot of that is cushion because, and this goes back a little bit, we had a long meeting the other day about this, but you know, we have a giant like industrial fridge in our shop, right? Let's say that fridge were to completely break, explode, something like that. Like we have that cushion for a reason. You know, we have that for important expenses. When it's Valentine's Day, like I said, we're running $10,000 worth of flour. We need that expense. We have wages, we're reinvesting in the shop, stuff like that. I think some things we've discussed, which part of this like suspension is so we can talk about it in the fall, is maybe a way we can reshape it so a certain percentage of that revenue is going towards the carry forward account, so that as kind of almost like an insurance policy, so that let's say something really bad were to happen out of the shop burned down. By the way, this is all like incredibly unlikely. We've been doing great.
Yeah. And then,
But it's like it's a formality, certain percentage or maybe an arbitrary number or something like that. But that's all something that will probably be discussed in the fall.
so just to really quickly, just to add on to the question, is that to the answer. So this suspension, so if like it's not suspended currently as it is, then the student union would then be obligated, and Irish Gardens would be obligated to turn over all of those net profits to the student union carry forward account, like as soon as possible, which would kind of forfeit like any sort of discussion. And so any discussion concerning potential obligations is, if this passes, 100% going to happen in the fall. There'll be extensive conversation in the Committee on the Constitution, and then the issue regarding the new financial obligations will make its way back to the Senate in extensive coordination with senators, so that this specific conversation can be had in the fall, which can only happen if this passes.
I think we're in questioning, motion to move out of questioning and into debate.
We'll now vote on the motion to move out of questioning into debate. All in favor? All opposed? All abstained? We're not in debate.
I do have a few things to say about this, yes.
You just say your name, please.
Max Martin, Parks Patrol Big.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I do in fact have a few things to say about this. I have a variety of concerns about this bill. Actually, most of them arising from just reading this today. I am absolutely shocked by the occurrence of this. I mean no disrespect at all to Irish Gardens by this, but how in the world did this happen is I think the question on my mind. I mean, you've said it could be 5-7 more years that we've had somebody not following the rules. I'm highly concerned about the fact that was allowed to go forward for that long. I mean, that to me, it looks like one rule break, but to me, that's a 10-alarm fire. That's the matter of this. It's the canary in the coal mine. It's the warning that we've got something bad going on, and that there's probably some people that are likely probably breaking the rules, and that are, I suppose, I don't know, a bunch of unresolved issues more than like.
Yes,
nobody
Sam.
wants to say something.
Yeah, I'm the chair, so Sam will go and then we'll
Yeah,
go.
so, no, I completely understand your concerns. Like, there have been, sometimes practice doesn't always align perfectly with the rules, but that's something that I'm very focused on, and that's why we kind of are pursuing this suspension, because it's been so long, which, yeah, oversights on all ends, everywhere, completely, it should not have happened, but now we're working to fix the issue. And so I completely understand the concerns that you raised regarding, like, the financial, like non-compliance, and other things like that have just been completely over, like, just no one, there was a massive oversight for many years, and we're really working to fix that. And so I would encourage you to vote for it for that reason, so that we can, like you said, correct the 5-alarm fire of the rule violations. I think that this is a nice step in that direction of ensuring that rules are actually practiced, and that any outdated rules can be updated as needed.
Motion to set speaking time for 45 minutes.
Okay, we'll now vote on putting speaking time to 45 seconds. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain?
Okay, it will be 45 seconds.
I usually timer up.
You got a timer?
Yeah, I'm gonna timer.
Okay, we'll start a timer every time I select.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, just remind you. Oh. We will now vote on the motion to move out of debate into vote. All those in favor?
Can you like raise them like very high?
All opposed? All abstain? Okay, we will now vote on order SO 252607, an order suspending Irish Garden constitutional obligations. All those in favor?
Just to clarify, it needs 5-6. to
5,
pass.
6, yeah.
Oh,
All opposed? All abstain? It passes. Okay, awesome. Wonderful work, guys. Okay, awesome. Item D. This is the last item in general orders for today. We'll now vote on the motion to dispense with the reading. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? The reading is dispensed with. We are now in questioning.
Motion to move out of questioning into debate.
We'll now vote on the motion to move out of questioning into debate. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? We are now in debate.
Motion to move out of debate into vote.
We'll now vote on the motion to move out of debate into a vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? We'll now vote on the Irish Gardens Student Business Manager nomination. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? Awesome, it passes. Great. Awesome, guys. Okay. My announcements, just remember those 2 people that haven't filled out the form for the department assignments, remember to do that. Is there any other announcements?
Really quickly, I am sorry to throw a wrench in kind of the leaving of the meeting. There is one other thing that I would request that the Senate does today. So we did have people demonstrate their interest of being members of the Committee on the Constitution, specifically Kyle Lochner, Madison Benchfield, Josephine, and Michael and Annie. And so I was wondering if maybe there could be or at least the form was filled out on behalf of those individuals. Oh, sorry, not Michael, Michelle Savarino. I'm so sorry. I completely misread that. If we could potentially have some sort of motion to nominate these individuals to the Committee on the Constitution, that maybe accompanied with like a brief speaking time, and then we can vote on each nomination individually. If that's something the Senate would like to do today, I guess it's up to you guys, but I figured I'd throw that out there.
Michael Camilleri, I'd like to motion to do what Sam said.
Okay. Motion, we'll now vote on the motion or during the objections.
So for this,
Oh,
yeah, so I'll copy and paste it. It's just like it just has the list of names on it.
yeah, it'll be on the agenda.
I'll put it under announcements. It's just the list it just contains it contains just the list of names of the individuals interested. And I guess it's up to you in your motion whether you would like to vote on all the nominees simultaneously, or if you would like to vote on them individually.
I'd like to change my motion to vote on all of them at once, please.
Are there any objections to the unanimous consent to vote on all of the nominations? No objections? Okay, we'll now vote on all the nominations. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstain? Awesome, they're nominated. Okay, is there any other announcements? Okay, we're gonna go with Danny and then Catherine.
Sub is having a National Pretzel Day event on Friday from like 1 to 3 in LaFun, I think, or Duncan, one of them. And then next Tuesday, we're having our final event here, like a final stretch relievers. I think there's gonna be a coffee truck, maybe some donuts. Yeah.
Awesome, Catherine? If you are a member of the class of 2028, aka if you're a freshman, but again, we're not IDing, we're not carding, we won't know if you're a freshman or not. South Quad this Friday, we're gonna have free food trucks, barbecue and ice cream. Also, there's gonna be a class mass that's presided over by Father Jerry starting at 5:15 at the Basilica. All are welcome. We're gonna have like spike ball, bring your friends, tell a friend. Love to see you.
Awesome, Elise.
Harmonia has our spring concert this Friday at 7 p.m. in Washington Hall. It would mean the world if you showed up. Me and Riley, the peanut senator, are both in it, so.
Awesome.
Be sure, guys, 3 days away. Y'all should all come this Saturday at noon at St. Mary's Lake.
Great. Awesome. Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We'll now go on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All opposed? Abstained? Okay, awesome. See you guys next week.